The Sealed Book of Mormon, chapter 43. And it shall come to pass that those who have set themselves up as leaders among the people, even those who are leaders of the religions of men, and also the governments of men, shall decide amongst themselves that history which they shall allow those under their subjection to receive, or in other words, the written accounts of the histories of the children of men, which are kept and sent forth as truth, shall be determined by these leaders. And the truth regarding what actually happened among the children of men shall not be made known, but the history that shall be presented shall be that truth which these leaders would want the people to believe. And I have already explained unto you that the leaders of the nations shall not cause anything to be written that might cause them to be seen in a bad light unto future generations. For these leaders and rulers seek the glory of men, and want that all should remember them for that which they did that was righteous among the people of their kingdom. And they would not allow to be written that which was contrary to their command. And if something was written which was contrary to their command, or which spoke the truth of their atrocities or their murders, or their unjust actions among those of their kingdom, then they would cause these things to be destroyed, along with the man or woman who had written these things. And for these reasons, the truth regarding the childhood of Jesus was not had in the record of the Jews. For behold, those who transcribed the testimonies of the eyewitnesses to the life of Jesus would not allow to be written that which would throw a light upon Jesus that did not conform with the perception that these scribes had of him. For this reason, many plain and precious things were left out of the record of the Jews. For the later leaders of those who followed the doctrine of Jesus, who would be known as Christians, had made Jesus into a god, and gave him praise and glory and worshipped him, thus taking away from the glory of the Father, which Jesus had given unto the Father during the days of his earthly ministry. And because these Christian leaders wanted the people of their churches to know and worship Jesus according to their own precepts, they caused the canon of Holy Scriptures, which they allowed the people to receive, to be confined to those things that supported their precepts and their beliefs. And in the latter days, when all things concerning the works of the children of men shall be revealed, many things shall come to light that the early Christian leaders did not know, neither did they understand, because they did not have the Spirit of the Lord to guide them in that which they allowed to be given unto the people. Nevertheless, the Lord fulfilleth his words, and causeth his works to be done, not only through the righteous, but also through the works of the wicked. For in many ways the things that were written of, and that came forth unto the world in the Bible, which is the canon of Scripture that the later Christian leaders caused to be given unto the people, yea, in many instances, these things were acceptable to the Lord because of the wickedness of the people. For Christ became their stumbling block, because they would not humble themselves before the Father and do his will, that they might receive the truth of all things from the Father, as the Lord had commanded of all men. And because of their wickedness, many of these plain and precious things pertaining to the truth and the life of Jesus were withheld from them, even according as it hath been explained unto you. But the Lord hath commanded me that I should write somewhat concerning those things which were kept out of the canon of the Holy Scriptures, that have been presented in written form and known in the latter days as the New Testament of the Bible. And he hath commanded me that I include these things in this sealed portion of the record of my Father, so that the world shall not have them until the Father commenceth his final work upon this earth, even when he shall begin to separate the tares from the wheat, or the evil from the righteous, as it hath been explained unto you in the Holy Scriptures. And the righteous shall receive these things with gladness and rejoicing, for that which they did not understand shall be made known unto them by the gift and power of the Holy Ghost. And they shall begin to rejoice as they read the words of truth, which the Lord hath commanded me through the Holy Ghost to write unto them. For the truth shall set them free from the chains by which Satan hath had them bound, because of the traditions and beliefs of their fathers, which tradition and beliefs were not correct according to the truth of God. For it shall come to pass that the true history of the people shall be so polluted and corrupted by the desires of the rich and the powerful, as they make an attempt to hide their works of darkness from the eyes of the children of men, that the truth will hardly be known among them. And for this reason these things which I have written unto you, and also those things which I shall write unto you hereafter, shall come forth and reveal unto you the truth concerning the histories of men. And they shall reveal unto you the hidden works of darkness that your leaders have hidden from you because of their wickedness and personal agendas. And their agendas and desires are that they should receive praise and honour of men, caring not for that which is of God. For inasmuch as they proclaim that the things which they do are the works of God, their hearts shall be uncovered in that which they do, and the people shall know of their wickedness. And it shall come to pass that those who follow them shall see their nakedness, and mock them for that which they have tried to hide from them. And at the time of the birth of Jesus there was a great king who was known as Herod, according to the record of the Jews. And he had commanded that all the children under the age of 2 years be killed according to the beliefs of the Jews, that a Messiah should be born among them at the time when the sign was given, and should come forth and save them. And these beliefs were those things that were taught among the people by the leaders of the Jews, who had read the words of the holy prophets, and taken it upon themselves to give unto the people the meaning and understanding of these prophecies. And this Herod knew not the exact time of the birth of this Christ, of which the prophets had spoken, but he knew that Bethlehem was to be the place of his birth. And according to his command, the children under the age of 2 were all killed in the city of Bethlehem. Now, this thing was a gross tragedy and vicious atrocity to the people of Bethlehem, who were many of the poor among the people, but to the government of the Romans it meant nothing, for Herod did many things away, from which the Romans turned their cheeks, he being greatly honoured among them. And the people of the city of Bethlehem were few, and of their children there were 63 slain by the command of Herod. And what would be the reason for those who kept a history of the people to report such a minor loss to the Roman government? For who were the Jews to them, and why would they concern themselves of the beliefs and prophecies of the Jews? But King Herod was a superstitious king, who had his own priests and counselors, who informed him of all things among the people. And when the prophecy of the birth of a Messiah was shown unto him, he commanded that the prophesied city be placed under his executive order, even that by his command were all the infants of this city killed, and this also according to the prophecies of the holy prophets. Nevertheless, immediately after the birth of Jesus, Joseph was warned of the intent of Herod, and took him and fled into Egypt. And immediately after these things, even immediately after he had been given his executive order, a sore disease came upon Herod, and he died a terrible death, having been cursed by the Lord because of his great wickedness. And now this thing hath been a cause of contention among those of you in the latter days, even among those of you who claim that because the histories of the Romans and the Jews do not include these atrocities committed against the Jews by Herod, that they did not occur. But I say unto you, ye have only one record, and that record hath been written according as I have explained it unto you. And do you think that the elders among the people of the Jews and the Romans would include any account of a man who caused a rift and a division among them? Yea, even one whom others testified of as being the Son of God? For the Jews did not accept Jesus as the Messiah who should save them. And if they did not accept him as the Messiah, of whom had been prophesied by all the holy prophets who had written concerning the coming of a Messiah, then why would you think that their scribes and their historians would count him worthy of their attention? And the Romans thought nothing of Jesus and the religion of the Jews. Therefore, why do you think that they would have caused an account of him to be written? And for these reasons, which I have given unto you, the written history of Jesus Christ is not had among the histories of the world, except it be among those who believed on his name and called themselves Christians, and who were converted by the preaching and teachings of the 12 apostles that Jesus had chosen during his ministry. But the accounts of these apostles have been changed and abridged and edited in such a way that they do not give the full truth of that which was written by the apostles concerning their time with Jesus in the flesh. And this time of Jesus in the flesh is not according to the calendars of time that ye keep among you in the latter days. Here is wisdom to him that hath understanding, even that the true day of the Lord in the flesh is within 10 years of your accepted times, and by this knowledge ye can attempt to reckon the true time of the Lord. And now the Lord commanded me that I speak somewhat concerning his family, which consisted of Joseph his father according to the flesh, his mother Mary, his younger brothers, who were Joseph, who was the firstborn of Joseph, and James, Simon, and Judas, and his sister Sariah, Rachel, Elizabeth, and Anna. And these dwelt in the land of Nazareth, Joseph and Mary having travelled out of Egypt to inherit the land of their fathers when the Lord had commanded them by the Spirit. And while they sojourned in Egypt, Joseph was born of Mary. Yea, even 1 year after the birth of Jesus, Joseph was born and called after the name of his father. And when they returned to the land of Nazareth, Joseph went into the house of his father Heli, and asked of him some of the land that was promised unto Joseph, according to the laws and customs of the Jews pertaining to the inheritance of the sons from the father. But Heli would not give unto Joseph that part of his inheritance, and this he withheld from him, because Joseph had disgraced the name of Heli with his marriage to Mary and the birth of Jesus, who was not called after the name of those in their family. But when Heli came to know that there was another son, even Joseph, who had taken the name of his father, then Heli gave unto Joseph a portion of that inheritance which he desired. And upon that inheritance Joseph began to raise his family according to the customs and traditions of the Jews. And Jesus grew as a child, and from time to time he would go with Mary into the wilderness to visit her mother. And it was in the wilderness that Jesus came to know John, the son of Zacharias, who lived with the mother of Mary in the wilderness. And when Jesus would visit his grandmother as a child, she would hold him tenderly and weep upon him, for she truly knew who he was, and for what purpose he had been born into the world. And it came to pass that as the mother of Mary showered these feelings upon Jesus, the other sons of Mary did notice that which they did perceive were adorations that they did not receive from their grandmother. And because of this thing, Joseph, the eldest son of Mary and Joseph, did complain unto his father. And Joseph took Mary apart from their children, and said unto her, How is it that thy mother can give this special attention and love unto Jesus, yet suffer that the children of my flesh receive no special bond with her? Should they not be treated like unto him in all things? And Mary answered her husband, saying, My mother doth not look upon Jesus as she doth our other children, because he is not like our other children, for they are not of the Spirit, as is our Lord Jesus, who was conceived of the Spirit, and not of the flesh, to save us all from our sins. And shall he not save me and my mother and our children? Yea, shall he not also save thee of thy sins, according to the words of the angel that thou hast heard concerning him? And from that time forth Joseph became jealous of Jesus, and began to mistreat him with indifference and inequality, not like unto his other children. And it came to pass that Joseph sought out the help and advice of his father, and also his uncle, who were high priests of the church at Jerusalem. And he was convinced by them that Jesus was not the Messiah, but that he might be a great prophet among them, owing to the great words which Jesus could speak unto them even as a youth, but that he could not be the great Messiah of which the prophets have prophesied. And Joseph believed on the words of the leaders of the church, and did not keep in remembrance those things which were given unto him by an angel of God. And all the days of the youth of Jesus were filled with this treatment of inequality from Joseph. And now, these things were not included in the Bible according to the words of the Jews, because the leaders did not want it discovered that Joseph was an unrighteous man, who was against Jesus all the days of his life. But Jesus remained a faithful son, according to the flesh, to Joseph, for whatever was required of him, that Jesus did do. And Jesus was given those tasks which were the most arduous and time-consuming of all the commands that Joseph gave unto his sons in the course of their daily labours. And Jesus did not complain of these things, and did those things which were expected of him according to the will of Joseph. And not in anything did Jesus give Joseph a reason that he should have been treated unequally, but thus he was. And the other sons of Joseph began to mock Jesus, and take cause up against him with their father, for that which they wanted to cause the hardship and turmoil of Jesus. For it came to pass that in a particular city that was near unto Nazareth, Joseph had made a contract with a certain rich man to build a house with his sons. And the contract was according to the time that was allowed by the rich man to Joseph and his sons to build the house. And it came to pass that Joseph put his son Joseph in authority over Jesus, and commanded him to build the house according to the desires of the rich man. And Joseph exercised this authority over Jesus, even so much that he did nothing with his own hands to build the house. And he commanded his other brothers to help Jesus, but that they should rest when they were desirous, and drink when they were thirsty. But Joseph had set certain times that Jesus, who was even his elder brother, could drink and rest from his labours. And when they would meet their father coming from another place in which he was engaged in other matters of his business, Joseph would report on the progress of the house, and explain unto Joseph of the laziness and ineptness of Jesus in doing those things which he had commanded him to do according to the power and authority that he had been given over him by their father. And to these charges Jesus would not respond. And Joseph rebuked Jesus, saying, Who thinkest that thou art? I know that thou hast been taught by thy mother that thou art special, and have a mission that is to be formed when thou hast reached the age of maturity. But what thinkest thou of us, who are thy family, and who provide for thee, and give unto thee all thou needest to eat, and a place to sleep? Canst thou not even for a few years of thy life give unto me thy respect and obedience for that which I provide for thee? And Jesus looked upon his brother Joseph, and said unto his father, Ask of him at what stage of building we are according to the design and the contract that thou hast made with the owner of the house. And Joseph inquired of his son Joseph as to the stage of the building. And Joseph said unto his father, We are yet in the first stage, because of the works of Jesus, who refuseth to do those things which I have required of him. And Jesus said unto his father Joseph, It is true, my father, that the work of Joseph is yet in the first stage, for that is the work that he hath done. But the work that I have done thou shalt see on the morrow in the light, for that which hath been required of the contract shall be done by my Father. And these words were spoken in respect by Jesus unto Joseph. Nevertheless, Joseph ridiculed Jesus, and fell upon him, and knocked him to the ground for that which he had said, thinking that Jesus had said these things to mock him, believing that Jesus had referred to him as his father. And on the morrow Joseph went with his sons unto the place where they were building, and he went up with them, that there would be no further contention among them, and so that he could work with them and fulfill the terms of the contract which he had made. And when they reached the house, the rich man was waiting there outside, with full payment in his hand for that which had been done. For when they came unto the house and looked, it was complete, according to all the specifications that had been given them. And they were all, except Jesus, astonished at the precision and the beauty of the house, which had been finished in one night. The rich man said unto them, When I arrived in the early hour of the morning, I saw those who were finishing up the house according to the design that I had given unto you. And after they were finished, I offered this payment unto them, thinking that they were of thy hire, and that they had been commanded of thee to finish this work before the terms of our contract required. And because of their work, which I supposed was commanded of thee, I offered them double of the amount that we had agreed upon, because of the speed and the fineness of their work. But they refused to take my money, but instructed me to give it unto him who had commanded them. And when I asked of them who it was that had commanded them to work through the night by the light of their fires to complete this thing, they said, Joseph, thy son, had commanded it of them. And with these words the rich man gave Joseph the son the money that he had brought with him to pay for the terms of the contract which had been completed by the angels of God, according to the will and desire of Jesus. And Joseph accepted the money, not knowing what it was that he should say to his father concerning those who had completed this work. And Jesus perceived the perplexity of Joseph, and spoke unto his father, saying, It was this thing that our brother Joseph did not want to explain unto thee, because of the hires that he made without thy permission, seeing that I could not do those things which he had commanded of me. And Joseph, the son, looked upon Jesus in wonder and amazement, and did not have that which he should say. And Joseph said unto his son, That which thou hast done is a good work. Now go and take some of this money, and pay those whom thou hast hired to do this thing. And Joseph gave unto his father all the money, except that which his father had determined was sufficient to pay those whom he supposed his son had hired. And Jesus smiled upon his brother Joseph. And it came to pass that Jesus left with his father and his other brothers, while Joseph stood with the money that his father had given unto him to pay the hirelings. And when Joseph had counted out the money that his father had given unto him, he counted exactly 30 pieces of silver. And at the exact moment that he had counted out this amount, he looked back towards the way wherein his father and brothers were going, and Jesus looked back upon him, and smiled once again upon Joseph. And now Joseph had been taught by his father, and also by the leaders of the church, that Jesus was not the Messiah, but a man who might have a mission of prophecy unto the people, but that unless the church sanctioned his preaching and his ministry, then it could not be of God. And because of the words which Jesus had taught unto them as a child, even the words of wisdom that even they could not understand, the leaders wanted to know all things concerning him throughout the days of his life. And for this reason, the leaders of the church made the son of Joseph a spy for them of all that which Jesus said and did during the course of his life with his family. And it came to pass that Joseph took the money that his father had given unto him, and went unto the high priest, and told him all things which were done that day. And the high priest commanded Joseph to speak to no one concerning this thing, but that he should take no more authority over Jesus in the course of the business of his father. And the high priest took the money, even the 30 pieces of silver, and put it in a secret place, that it might be used against Jesus, if it were possible. For behold, if money was needed against Jesus, the high priest felt that he could not use the money of the church, nor should he use his own money to do that which was needed against a wicked man, as he supposed. And this was done that the words of the prophet might be fulfilled, which he spoke. And I said unto them, If ye think good, give me my price, and if it not forbear. So they weighed for my price 30 pieces of silver. And from that time forth Joseph did not command Jesus in anything, Neither did he mock him or make cause against him before his father Joseph, and this according to the instructions that he had received from the high priest. And Jesus continued to work for his father Joseph, and to do those things which were required of him. And as he worked in the course of the days of his youth and early adulthood, Mary would send her daughter Sariah to carry water and provisions unto her brothers while they worked. And Sariah loved Jesus even with all of her heart, and looked to him with pride and adoration as her older brother and as her friend. And Jesus also loved Sariah, and played with her often in her infancy and in her youth. And he came to love Sariah even with all of his soul. And Sariah would sit upon his knee in her youth, and converse with Jesus for many hours, learning of him the things that he would teach unto her. And Jesus taught Sariah many things which he had learned from the Spirit according to the will of the Father. And Jesus made Sariah promise him that she would keep all these things in her heart, and tell no one, except she should speak to their mother Mary concerning them. And it came to pass that while Jesus was engaged in building again according to the command of Joseph, and he worked with Joseph on this particular day, and on this day Rachel and Elizabeth ran into their father and told him that Sariah had fallen from her labours and was taken suddenly ill. And Joseph and Jesus immediately left that which they were doing, and ran unto their house. And when they were come into the house, Mary was in the doorway with Anna, weeping exceedingly. And Joseph hurried into the room where his oldest daughter was lying ill. And Jesus held his mother, and took Anna from her as she fell to the ground before her son, pleading with him that he might save his sister from the illness that had quickly befallen her. But Joseph returned again to Mary, and took her in his arms, and wept exceedingly with her, for Sariah had died. And Jesus gave Anna unto his brother Joseph, whose countenance had fallen at the news of the death of his sister, and who was with his other brothers, who were there beholding their parents as they wept for Sariah. And they also wept great tears of sorrow for their sister, for she was dearly beloved by all of them. And Jesus went straightway into the room where the body of Sariah was laid, and he took her into his arms, and held her close to him, and wept exceedingly upon her, even so much that his tears wet her face and the pillow upon which she lay. And Jesus thought within himself that he should use the power that the Father had given unto him to bring back his beloved sister. And when he had thought on these things, yea, even when he was about to issue forth the command in his sorrow, a voice spoke unto him near unto the bed where the flesh of Sariah lay. And he looked up, and saw the departed spirit of his sister near unto him. And as a spirit, Sariah whispered unto him, saying, My Lord, I know that thou hast the power that thou hast been given of our Father, to command my spirit to enter again into my body, that I might once again take upon me the flesh that I received when I entered into mortality. But I beg of thee that thou shouldst not do such a thing, for that which hath been done is according to my own will, and hath been granted unto me by our Father. Behold, thou art my beloved brother and my friend. All the days of my life hast thou loved me, and kept me safe and secure in the arms of thy love, even so much that many times I was overwhelmed by the love that thou showed me as a child. And thou spoke unto me of those things that thou hast commanded me not to share with any other in the flesh. And I did that which thou didst command of me all the days of my life. But in the night before the dawn of today, I received a dream in the which I saw thee, and that which would befall thee in the flesh, even that thou wouldst be scourged and beaten, and lifted upon the cross to die an unnatural death, even a death that no other man in the flesh could suffer. And in sorrow I did rise to face another day of knowing you in the flesh, and being at your side, and loving you as my brother. And the thought of the pain that I would suffer, knowing that these things would one day happen unto thee, brought me even unto the door of death of my soul. For behold, how could I live to see this happen to my beloved brother? Yea, how could I, in the flesh, see thou sufferest because of the sins and wickedness of the world, even when thou art innocent of all sin? And I prayed with all my soul that the Father would take me home to him, that I might not be a witness of your death in the flesh. And I prayed with all of the energies of my heart, and made a promise that if the Father did not take me, then I would take my own life this day, so that I would not have to behold these things concerning you in the flesh. But as a spirit I can behold these things and understand them. Yea, even as a spirit I can be at thy side, and uphold thee and give thee strength, even at the time of thy greatest need. Behold, in the flesh I could not do these things. Now wantest thou that I suffer so in the flesh? Thou knowest of the glory of the spirit world. Thou knowest of the peace and happiness of the souls that enter therein without sin. Thou knowest that they rest from all of their worries, and are not burdened with the things of the flesh any longer. And now, my beloved brother, even my Lord Jesus Christ, what wouldst thou want for me? And after the spirit of Sariah had said these things unto Jesus, he was comforted in his pain, and he did not command that her spirit enter again into her body. And he said unto her, Of thy spirit I have renewed my own. Go in peace, my beloved sister, and I will come unto thee soon. And now, when the brother of Jared had witnessed these things in his vision, it caused him exceeding love for his sisters who were of his family. For he also had a sister who had died in her youth, and her name was Herithani. And he requested of the Lord in his vision that he might be visited by her, that he too might receive the comfort which he beheld concerning Jesus and Sariah. And the Lord had compassion upon the brother of Jared, and commanded the spirit of Herithani to come forth according to the power of the Spirit by which he beheld these things. And she came forth, and with her was another spirit. And the brother of Jared immediately recognized the other spirit as that of Sariah, who would one day come into mortality as the sister of Jesus. And both of them smiled upon the brother of Jared, and gave unto him the comfort that he desired. And in this thing the brother of Jared was overwhelmed by the Spirit, even so much that he could not go on in the vision according to the flesh. But Jehovah once again supported him, and gave him the strength that he needed to continue with his glorious vision.